Mayor accused of raping drunken 16-year-old at pool party, then ordered morning after pill on DoorDash. I mean, if I was going to hand select a title from a news article that would summarize the collective state of human beings in the year 2026, this would be it. Pretty much says it all. And obviously this relates to what I discussed in the Epstein and hypersexuality recording. Human beings collectively have a really, really big problem when it comes to this out of control sexual energy and what people are doing in response to it. And I include myself in that. I'm not trying to exclude myself from that, but this is just wild stuff. The woman who did this is 43 years old. Can you imagine being 43 and partying with teenagers, getting wasted with them, and taking advantage of a 16-year-old to have sex with them? I mean, it's debauchery on a level that is hard to believe exists. Really? It's a real problem. A disgraced small-town mayor who was allegedly caught by her kids having sex. Her kids were there and see her do this. With a drunken 16-year-old boy at a booze-fueled pool party, ordered emergency contraception on DoorDash afterward. And that is just a sign of the times, right? Oh, don't worry, I have an app for that. Oh, unprotected sex with a teenager as a 43-year-old. Don't worry, there's an app for that. I can just get it delivered to my house now. I'll get the Plan B abortion pill. Don't worry about it. I'll kill anything that might have been created in that act, because people are so detached from what they're actually doing when they have sex with somebody. And they're so detached that they think that this is something that they're entitled to. Like, I should just be able to do this. I don't want to get into the whole thing again. Our philosophy is so distorted when it comes to sexual energy. Misty Roberts, the 43-year-old former leader of Tiny DeRidder, Louisiana, is now on trial for third-degree rape over the 2024 alleged tryst. After news spread of Roberts' reputed romp with the teen in the town of 9800, the mother of the victim, a friend of the defendant's son, texted the then mayor to ensure she was not pregnant, to which she replied she was on birth control. Prosecutors told jurors last week. Unbelievable, man. That's just unbelievable stuff. And stuff like this is happening every second of every day all over the world because people are so out of control from all of this programming that's been put in their mind when it comes to sexual energy. They can't control it. They're consumed by it. Accordingly, it felt like it would be wise to read about sexual degeneracy in the context of the period that preceded the biblical flood. The sexual degeneracy that preceded the biblical flood is depicted in Genesis 6 and related texts as a period of extreme moral, physical, and spiritual corruption, characterized by the violation of God-ordained boundaries. This degradation was so severe that it prompted divine judgment, leading to the cleansing of the earth through the flood. Now, for all the Bible scholars out there listening to this, please feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm reading AI slop that is summarizing this stuff, and it's often not quite accurate. But still, I'm lazy, I'm going to read this. Intermarriage of sons of God and daughters of men. Genesis 6:1-4 describes the sons of God, often interpreted as fallen angels or supernatural beings, taking the daughters of men, human women, as wives. This is interpreted as a violation of natural intended order. The union resulted in a corrupted hybrid race known as the Nephilim. This sexual perversion included, according to various interpretations, the introduction of forbidden, unnatural sexual acts or strange flesh. And it's fascinating, right, how just in modern language for a time, people would say, I'm going to get some strange. And it's a part of this sexual revolution, this liberation where people are just trying to get laid. That's all that matters. Be free. Get some strange. Well, they don't even know that it's going back to this, right? Strange flesh and this whole original corruption of our sexual energy. That's how far gone we are. The Bible states that all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth, suggesting a pervasive, widespread, and possibly genetic or existential contamination of the human race. The sexual perversion and unnatural unions were directly tied to the filling of the earth with violence and evil, as the imagination of humanity's hearts was only evil continually. Jude 1:7 describes the sin of Sodom and Gomorrah as giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, which many commentators parallel to the unnatural unions of the pre-flood world. The sexual perversion in the pre-flood world was not just about physical acts, but was intended to destroy humanity's capacity to worship God. Yes, ultimately that is it. It's all about disconnecting you from that which created you. Jesus likens the period before his second coming to the days of Noah, implying that a similar level of moral and sexual decay will be present with widespread, unrestrained indulgence. Well, that's the headline that I just read, right? In summary, the sexual degeneracy that led to the flood was a total breakdown of natural order and divine law, resulting in a world dominated by unnatural sexual activity and widespread violence. And I think that's a key aspect of it, in the sense that even if you're not involving another person with your own sexual corruption, in terms of how you were designed to be originally, you're inflicting violence on yourself when you do not have that energy under control. That's the whole purpose of pornography and putting sex into everything, getting people to think about it all the time, no matter what the context is. All of the media is saturated with this propaganda that is designed to disconnect you from what you're designed to be. And I'm not even qualified to speak on that because it affects me too. I can see it though, right? I can see it. But I'm not qualified to fix it, is my point. All I'm doing is describing it. So don't think that I'm coming at you like I have conquered this. Not even close. But part of the problem is that as I'm speaking right now, there will be so many different reactions to it based on what somebody's preconceived notions about God are, or the name Jesus, or whatever. I mean, most people just recoil in horror at the name of Jesus. It does something to people. They can't handle even saying it or hearing it. And I kind of understand that, right? Because if that being was sitting in front of me, let's assume it was all real, the being is sitting in front of me, and I'm looking at it like, hey man, I don't know what to tell you. I wouldn't even speak, I don't think. What could I even say that would justify who I am and what I have done throughout my life? I was thinking about that today because, especially when you get into the occult stuff, everything that's been hidden, all this quote-unquote ancient information that are the real secrets of who and what we are, the New Age stuff, they're constantly promoting ideas about you being able to achieve things that are otherwise viewed as impossible. You're able to acquire power that otherwise nobody is capable of acquiring. You're tapping into some secret stuff that's giving you access to do things like levitate, walk through walls eventually, contact entities that will give you powers through your rituals to do things, to acquire things that otherwise you would never be able to do. That some people would look at, they would hear you describe it and say, you're out of your mind. None of that is possible. What are you even talking about? But somehow, when it's put in the context of you becoming your own God, well, it's okay, yeah, because I'm so great, and I'm going to do this for myself, right? I'm going to do it. I'm so powerful and amazing. I'm going to do this thing that's otherwise impossible. And in that way, the idea somehow sticks and feels accessible. Yet, when it comes to the idea that that which created us incarnated into a human body on earth and performed miracles and then was able to come back from the dead, it's viewed as this story that is impossible. No, that couldn't happen. And people instantly recoil away from it. Now, I'm not saying that it did happen exactly in that way. What I am saying is I don't understand why people are so afraid of it. Well, I guess maybe I do. Because if it's real, well, then you have to really look at everything you're doing in your life and understand how far gone you are, right? Then you really have to take accountability for all the ways that you've deviated from the stuff you know you shouldn't be doing. If it's real, all of a sudden, now you're like, oh, don't even mention that name. So it makes sense why that name would be so hated. Because if it's real, we're in a lot of trouble, you know? Thankfully, that which created us has the capacity to forgive us for our sins. Because it knows that we're being manipulated into choosing these paths. But still, it doesn't excuse our behavior. We have to have some personal agency here in terms of our choices. But I understand why people are so afraid of that name. That's more on a deeper level, though. More of a subconscious layer to the whole thing for why that name is so terrifying. The more surface level explanation is what most people are presented with in terms of the representatives of Jesus and God, or any form of religion, really. But I'm talking about Jesus in particular here. They look at the human representatives claiming to be that, and they say, oh, no. If that thing is real, there's no way I can believe it, because look at the people who represent it. They're nothing close to that. And I bring that up because of this headline that came out. Military leaders say Iran war is so Trump can bring about Armageddon. Without any clear message coming from the White House with regard to the purpose of the Iran war, U.S. military commanders have turned to Jesus, apparently telling American troops that the war is biblically sanctioned. Now, somebody who is not wanting to believe in any of this would look at a headline from this article and read the first paragraph and say, yeah, that's why I don't believe in any of that. Because the people who claim to be it are starting wars in its name, and then they can go down the list, the Crusades, look at what the Vatican has done through the Catholic Church, abusing children, the whole thing. And then you could point at all the other religions. Look at all the people that Islam has killed in its history. It's a religion designed to take things over, and eventually it gets to the saturation point where they just remove you if you don't go along with them. The adherents to the Jewish tradition are told that they are chosen by God and above everyone else, right? And so everything they do is essentially justified in that sense. They don't need Jesus because they are God, right? They're chosen, they're special. And then you have all of these other traditions interacting with that, and people look at the whole thing and say, oh, no, I don't want religion. I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. And then you have that whole delusion I was referring to where they are their own God. And they'll do these things and go through these steps where they're going to do the impossible, but they don't connect the dots like, well, hold on a second. If I can do this thing that I was told is impossible, isn't it in the realm of probability that something else impossible could have happened too? Maybe I should reassess this whole thing. But it got me thinking of this image that I came across, which sums up the whole thing. Because there are many different versions of Jesus, and this one in particular is the imposter version. This is the version of Jesus that people like Donald Trump claim to represent. This is the version that the whole internet is talking about when they are pretending to be in representation of it. There are so many people in conspiracy circles that are telling you that this is what they believe in, and they can honestly say that to you because they do. They believe in this version of it. They believe in the version that was created to take the whole thing over. And that's what I'm trying to impress upon people who think this whole thing is silly. It's like, hey, you have to understand that there are different versions of it. And the real thing was so real and so powerful that every one of the original disciples chose death over submitting to any kind of other authority. And people don't tend to die for a lie. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to die for something, it's usually the truth. And that, whatever it really was originally, is not this. And that's why you have these images of Jesus doing the same pose as Baphomet, okay? Because the people that create this and represent it and represent all kinds of other traditions like this are the same people that create this, okay? They create this version of it. So you have all these shills on the internet giving you truth mixed with lies while claiming to represent Jesus, but they leave out the part that this is what they're representing. And that's all a part of what I was discussing, where it's they are discrediting it at the same time they promote it. Because someone would likewise look at these absurd personalities and accounts who are mixing lies with truth and say, well, if they believe that, I can't believe that. I don't want to be like them. That's the game, you see. They co-opt it, they take the real aspect of it, they distort it, claim to represent it while pushing you away at the same time. Because ultimately that's what they want to do. They want to push people away from the truth. If that which created us came to earth in the form of a human being, temporarily incarnating here, I don't think it would be concerned with doing poses, you know, and having that be what represents it after the fact. No, somebody took the idea and created stuff like this, and it's all over the churches. I don't care what the denomination is. And I'm not saying every single church is bad or every person in every church is bad. No, of course not. But I'm saying the overarching infrastructure is this deception, okay? They have turned it into something that it was not originally intended to be. And indeed, if that story happened as it is said to have happened, it would be for everyone. It would be for every single human being alive on planet Earth. Doesn't matter what country you're from, what your culture is, it's for you. It would not be bombing another place in its name, okay? Suffice it to say, that wouldn't be happening. So right away you know that that isn't it, and they're pretending to be something that they're not. And if you came into contact with that truth, it would change you overnight. And I think that's probably why, myself included, it's kind of scary. Do I really want to change? You know, I kind of like a lot of these things, I think, that are a part of this society that tears me away from it. I think I kind of like those habits. I want to keep them. Yeah, I'm kind of scared of that whole thing. I don't know if I want to change, because then I'll be an outcast. I'll be alone. And it's easy to lose sight of the fact it's like, well, no, we're all designed to be this. We're all supposed to be this thing, this reflection of it. And if you have to be on the front line of it, one of the first to go through it, so be it. Suck it up. Oh, I'm alone. Suck it up. You know what I mean? Like, too bad. That's what you have to deal with. There are people who have it way worse and have to deal with so much other stuff. So what if no one around you is confirming it? What's true is true, and it doesn't matter what anybody else says, especially when they are reflections currently, like myself, of something that isn't this. Why would you care what their insane opinion of the whole thing is? Anyways, remember, I probably don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe there's little bits of truth here and there, but you gotta weigh that against the parts where I have no idea what I'm saying. Which makes me wonder why I'm even talking right now, but here we are. So I'll end it on that note. Later.